And so that's why these guys are being transferred. They're being called fugitive transfers or expulsions. They're expelling. They're not extraditing. They're expelling these guys. Yeah. That's why that's happening without the extradition treaty. But she's saying, no U.S. intervention. But here, you can take them quick. Right before nobody looks, So something really important to note here is that he's facing life, right? Yeah. Mandatory minimum or whatever it is.
He's not looking too good either, so yeah.
Yeah. Don't put that in.
No, it's all right. That's fine.
So he was kidnapped and brought to the U.S. So he was not sent to the U.S. under the U.S.-Mexico extradition treaty. That treaty exists to essentially extradite criminals, Mexican national criminals who have committed crimes against the Americans, like it said in that press release, right? None of these fugitive transfers. So let's talk about El Mayo. It was obviously a kidnapping. Then there was a bunch of guys who were transferred in January. That included Caro Quintero, who was accused of killing DEA agent Kiki Camarena. And then just most recently, a week or two ago, 26 guys, right? Modern day guys. You're not talking about the old capos anymore. All of these people were sent to the U.S. without the extradition treaty paperwork. The extradition treaty paperwork and the agreement, essentially the crux of it is to avoid the death penalty. So none of these guys, if they're being extradited, the death penalty is off the table. Why? This is a rhetorical question that I'm going to answer. Why were all of these individuals sent to the U.S. to face the justice system, not under the extradition treaty, and yet none of them are getting the death penalty? Because the U.S. is looking for information. They don't want these guys dead. Because when Caro Quintero was sent to the U.S., I very openly said, he's not getting the death penalty, even though he could have, because they weren't sent under the death penalty. And I had people say, of course he's going to get the injection. Of course he's getting the death penalty. Why would you do that? Like, this is an oracle of information.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And then it came out just a few weeks ago. None of these guys are getting the death penalty. Most of them are getting life. And that's so much better, right? And then Ovidio, he's probably only going to get like 10 years or something.
Now, what happens at the end of those 10 years? Is he going to stay here?
In the U.S.?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. You think Buddy's going to go on back to Culiacan and live it up?
So we're going to let him stay here. El Chapo's son. He's going to walk out of prison. He's going to live in Westchester County, New York. I don't know if that's where he's going to live.
I'm getting more like Riverside, California vibes.
So we're just going to let that happen.
Probably. I mean, you guys let his family in. I think 17 family members.
Oh, you can say you guys because you're Canadian. Hey, you're here as our guest. That's nuts. You would think they'd deport his ass and just let the wolves have him.
Not if he gave them a bunch of invaluable information.
If he gives them a bunch of invaluable information, congratulations. Your prize is you don't get life in prison. Now figure it the fuck out. Like,
well, what did you say last time? Crack a few eggs to get the shells?
Crack a few eggs to make an omelet. But I'm saying the omelet's already made. We already made the omelet. You got your 10 years. You get to be out. Go, run, be free. It's, like in the movies when, like, the guy in a prototypical movie, when they, like, nurse the animal back to health. Oh, my God, go, be free. And they let it go. And then, like, a fucking falcon eats it. Like, let that happen.
Yeah.
You had your chance to run away. If the falcon got you, you're not good enough. Why
Boss up.
Why does he got to live here?
So
his dad's already buried in ADX, which I'd rather be dead than be there.
You don't think it's nice?
ADX? That's where they sent that guy, Andy caught. Oh, yeah.
There's no, like, jacuzzi and golf carts?
I don't think so.
Okay, so listen, this is where this becomes very problematic, because President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico has obviously given the U.S. this wide open backdoor to prosecute these criminals, right?
Yeah, how is that relationship going
Do that
with this whole
again.
thing?
Publicly. Well, clearly, publicly, she keeps saying, we're going to maintain Mexico's sovereignty. We are not allowing any U.S. intervention in terms of dealing with this whole issue.
And she's like, right back here.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
That's horrible for a podcast because no one could, who's listening
Yeah,
could.
but if they were watching, I made a move like, yeah, just back it.
Just
park it over
shut
there,
up and
behind
get
that
the
car.
fucking
Behind that car. Just
hop
relax.
in.
Nothing to see here, people.
That's what's happening. And so that's why these guys are being transferred. They're being called fugitive transfers or expulsions. They're expelling. They're not extraditing. They're
like that
expelling
term.
these guys.
Yeah.
That's why that's happening without the extradition treaty. But she's saying, no U.S. intervention. But here, you can take them quick.
Right.
Right before nobody looks,
Right.
And then also there are, like we talked about this before, and it's just so shocking to me how openly those U.S. intelligence planes are flying over Mexico.
We don't do that. There's no U.S. intelligence planes down there.
Bro, I have it on my Twitter.
I know. They're getting awfully careless.
Yeah, to the point where I feel like it could disrupt the integrity of whatever investigations they're conducting. Because if
Intelligence? You think they're conducting investigations? They're not the investigating type.
whatever intelligence they're gathering to be handed over
Okay.
to the investigators
Got it.
to clarify.
Right.
And so essentially what I think though, when we look at how the US is negotiating with these guys and sort of giving them, oh, have life, give us information, we can bring your family in, don't worry about it. And you know what, you Ovidio, we're just going to put you in timeout.
That's nice.
It's a slap in the face to any American who has obviously like lost people or whose lives have been affected by the fentanyl crisis or like the drug crisis. On the other side of that, anyone who was a collateral victim to cartel violence in Mexico. Because I think for a lot of them, I remember when Trump first declared cartels as FTOs in January, and I spoke to so many people and such a broad variety of people in Mexico and from across all regions, and everyone was like, finally, someone is cracking down on the bad guys. And then in practice, that's not what's happening.
It's not.
No. I mean, not if you're negotiating with them. Do you think it is?
All right. I
Yeah,
don't.
there's like a crackdown, but it's not what like people really like the substantial crackdown they thought.
So you think, and I'm not saying this like to be funny or overgeneralize, but
I think they should have got the death penalty.
with that logic, because we're not chopping their heads off literally, and instead we're just bringing them here and putting them in a cell, it's not the same?
Not at all. I'm a firm believer in capital punishment.
You are.
Especially for someone who has done something inherently, objectively wrong and cost the lives of thousands of people.
Yeah.
People come at me for that all the time. They're like, Katarina, how could you? How could you not? You see half the shit that I've seen and you would be a believer too.
No, I understand what you're saying. I just think that the jump, like in your mind, the jump, and I understand why you're cynical about it, but the jump from being so cynical as to like, well, they're not doing that at all because they're just bringing them here. I mean, they're taking to defend it, they're taking the pieces off the board, they're extracting information from them, and they're giving them no future, with the exception of video. I don't like that, but
right. At the same time, I do understand that. It's like, okay, they're getting information, they're going to get trafficking routes, and they're going to gather information to perhaps tackle more individuals. Truth be told, I don't think any of these efforts are going to have like any lasting impacts.
why?
Because this is like this perpetual beast that will always continue to grow and find new ways to adapt to whatever tactics law enforcement or the US or whoever is using against them, or to try to figure them out, or to try to dismantle them or hinder their operations. Everyone always asks me like, what's the solution? There is no solution. So
So why do you cover it? If there's no solution, why do you cover it if it's not going to end ever?
Because wouldn't you also want a job with job security?
That wouldn't be in my top 1,000.
I'm joking. That's
Yeah, I
not.
know.
Yeah, I'm being facetious. The point is that because then you look at the other stories that like are like the women in Juarez story.
You feel like you can help limit the damage?
That can be, you know, there needs to be a stop to that. But in terms of being like, we are going to dismantle every single cartel that we have designated an FTO, it's just like so out of the realm.
You know.
And then also, like, what's the real agenda here? Because then you look at, like, Venezuela and how, like, the real target here is Maduro. And they're using this whole, like, FTO designation to really just go in and, like, drone strike him.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. I'm not saying he's a good guy, but that is an interesting backdoor tactic for sure.
Yeah. It's so much more beyond just, like, what we see. This is not a black and white topic.
Yes.
It's very nuanced. And so that's why in terms of like discussing solutions or like, will there be an end? That's so beyond my comprehension. And this is what I literally live and breathe all day long. Yeah. So there's no way to simplify this whatsoever.
Where is, with your story, like where's Claudia Scheinbaum with this? I would think this is the kind of thing that she would draw attention to if she's not owned.
No.
Why not?
Because this is the type of story that she would probably bring up in her morning press conference and say, unless there's proof, unless Katarina can show me who's killing these women and who's buying them, it's not happening. Because I think that the missing and murdered women problem in Juarez should have been declared a national emergency. I think something like this should be declared a national emergency.
Yeah.
And we know it is happening, but she doesn't want to bring that negative attention. I think the only way that she would perhaps address it or like really kind of hammer down on it would be about the American buyers. Because she also, you know, big proponent of the fact that like a majority of arms that are used at Mexican crime scenes come from the U.S. You know, there was that whole lawsuit. Yeah, the whole thing.
Yep.
So that if she's like, oh yeah, our cartels are providing it, look who's buying them.
That's what
Those
I'm
are
saying.
The real villains. She would say that. And like, yeah, I agree to an extent, but I'm not entirely sure that she would want to accept like what's happening on the southern side of the border.
But like the whole country, and she knows this, the whole country thinks and knows that the fucking place is run by these
cartels,
violent organizations fighting each other and buying off politicians and killing the ones they don't like. You would think that you're constantly looking through, and I hate to put it this way, but you're constantly looking through, you know, a trove to find a piece of treasure that you can say, oh my God, if I put this one out there, people can't ignore this. You know what I mean? Something that's so bad and so beyond the realm. Like you say to people, look, they're selling all the drugs to Americans. And the average Mexican goes, yeah, whatever. But you go, look, they're killing your own pregnant girls and selling the kids, and Americans are buying them. That's like and you shouldn't look at it this way, to be clear, but like if you are trying to sell something politically as like, can we please look at this? What the fuck else? How are you going to get something more serious or better or horrible? You know what I mean?
Well, we'll see if she says something about it. She brought up my reporting, I think, once before, and it was like, show me proof. And I was like, okay.
Hit me on Telegram, bitch. Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.